going? I've got enough questions about how to mount the Rotopax 1 gallon containers to the GIVI Canyon soft luggage backer plate that I thought I would do a quick video about how I put that together. I didn't use any special hardware. It's just stuff I had in the garage, but I'll go through what I did and some considerations when you go to mount it to your rack or to the plate. Now, the important thing to know is I'm using a Tusk luggage rack. If you're using a different luggage rack, it might not mount up exactly the same. I'll go through what those considerations are and how my 1 gallon water jug fit in there, which will be the same if you're using the 1 gallon gas container. So stick around and I'll show you how to get this mounted on the inside of your luggage. What I have here is a 10 millimeter Allen head that is, I would say, about 40 millimeter or 1.5 inches. And then a washer, 25 millimeter or 1 inch spacer, and then a locking nut so that it would keep it in place. Now, I'm not going to go through how I did this. This is just a metal plate that fits between. You'll need to measure these holes out. If you can put this together, so. Alright, so all I did was just measure the holes between the mounting plate, and I'll show you where I put that in the mounting plate. Drilled those out, and then also put some holes for the mounting bracket on this aluminum plate. As you can see, I didn't get them straight, but from a functionality standpoint, it works just fine. I'll show you how I got this to fit in my rack. Now, like I said, I have the Tusk rack, so I slid this up in here and fit it back and forth to see where the best fit is. There's some considerations here. Is the notch in the 1 gallon tank, that this notch right here fits where my rack bolts together. So I needed to get it to fit right in there. And then also I needed the cutaway that you see here, this angle is the way it fits in here so that there's enough clearance. I couldn't put it too high and I couldn't put it too low. It happened to fit just right. So with the mounting brackets that go in here, I'll go through how to slide those through. I needed some spacers so that the jug wasn't running or rubbing on the rack, because I was afraid that it could potentially rub some holes in it. I wanted to keep that free, and then also make sure it has enough clearance for the drive side of the swing arm. If you have a different bike, I don't know how it's going to fit. It may fit the same, it may fit a little different, but yeah, that's one of the things you need to keep in mind is where the chain and the exhaust is. So if you have a different bike and your exhaust is on the other side or on this side, then principle should be the same, but fitment may be a little bit different. In this mounting plate, there's 2 grooves on either side that are recessed. Depending on the type of luggage rack you have, you may need those to mount this up. For my luggage rack, these were wide open. So what I did is, when I found these bolts, is I found something that would sit in there flush. What I did find though is it was tight, and I nearly had to thread them through the nylon or the plastic in here, which wasn't a big deal. It was easy enough to get them to fit and get all the way through. So I've got them mounted about 1/3 of the way from the bottom of the groove. And the reason for that is the way the rack fits in there with the Rotopax, and we'll put those in. So I used the washer and with the bolt and fit it in there, and like I said, it's a bit of a tight fit. Now it's gone in and out a couple of times. I can basically get it to fit with my fingers, and we'll do the same on this other side. You'll likely have to do a bit of a dry fitment, or even use a little bit smaller bolt so you can slide the whole thing up and down to figure out exactly how it's going to fit in there, so that your tank doesn't rub in the back and then also fits properly. So I will start putting these in, and then we'll look from the inside. The inside is going to be a little bit tough to see. The angles to get in there to show you is going to be a little bit harder. I'll do the best I can, but it should give you an idea of what I did. And it's not really that difficult to do, and it's worked out pretty well. I've got I think 24,000 miles on the bike, and I think I've had this rack on there nearly about 23,000 of it. So just type tighten these in until they fit all the way through, and then we'll fit the rack in from the mount in from the back side. I'm going to be putting these 1-inch spacers in, and the reason for that is if you put this mount all the way on here without it, this goes in too deep and there's not enough room to get your can or your rack, your gas can or your water in and still be able to thread it on. So what I found is, take this back off, with a 1-inch spacer on here on either side, then that left room to be able to fit the can on. So I will put the nuts on and show you how it goes together. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those up. I'll stop this here and then I'll come back and show you how it fits on. I have this all tightened up. Because of the tight quarters here, with the threaded part, you have to take this off in order to get the Rotopax in. Otherwise, there's not enough room. This is a really, just drop that. This is a really tight fit in here. So now you can see I've got the smooth Rotopax, and then I actually have to angle it to get it to slide on. It's on there, and then I can just find where the threads are, somewhere, maybe. Which can be a little tricky to make sure it threads straight. There we go. Tighten that up, and then tighten it as much as you need it. And there you go, your Rotopax is mounted on there. Sorry for the lighting, it's a little tough in here. Shortest day of the year, so I need to do something a little bit better with the lighting, but I just want to get this tutorial put together. So I'll have a couple last thoughts on things to think about when you go to mount this in. A few last thoughts, things to think about, and when you go to do it. You're gonna see I've got some moleskin in both of these places right here. The reason for this moleskin is the nuts on the mounting side towards the rack itself. They rub in these spots right here if I get it super tight. So I put some moleskin just to protect the can itself so it doesn't rub through the plastic. So far this has worked, it doesn't move around that much. And if you look at it, it's got a good indentation or impression there, but it hasn't gone through. I just was looking at it, there's a couple places that it looks like it's rubbed on the rack, the way that it was situated in there. So far it looks fine. I've got a lot of miles on this. And here, living in the Southwest, water to me is more important than gas. I can find gas pretty much anywhere, but if I'm gonna be off-road for a long time, I wanna make sure I have water. If I have something happen, that's more important to me than extra. If you found this video useful, if you're planning to mount a Rotopax to the inside of your luggage, especially if you're using the GIVI Canyon soft luggage with the nylon mounting plate. If you have any other questions or any concerns or any thoughts regarding how this is mounted, please leave some comments below. I'm interested to see what other people do. I'd also be interested if you're using a different luggage rack besides the Tusk to let me know how it fits. I tried doing this on my F800 GS, and that luggage rack is much narrower and there was no room to put this. So far it only fits on the R1200 GS rack that I have. But I know that there's different ways of mounting it. Hopefully you'll find something that's useful for you. And thanks for sticking around, and I will see you out there.